I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
You are listening to Accidentally Casual, the podcast with more gaming nerds than we can handle. My name is Minius of Minius GC, and with me is Tucker from Talking About Games.
Hello.
And with us this week is Scott from BioWare Babbling.
What's up, y'all?
Welcome to the podcast.
Yep, thank you for having me. This is a bit of a dream come true for me.
Your dreams need to be higher.
Yeah.
Okay, I have other dreams. Like, come on, give me a little bit more
It's
credit
your
than that.
only dreams. Yes. So we invited
It's one
Scott.
of the achievable ones.
We invited Scott on the podcast, and he made the mistake of agreeing to it. But anyway, we need more voices on here, so we'll be able to get you. Actually know about Dragon Age, right?
Yes, I am aware that there are much. I'm gonna say this right now, so
Okay.
and then just covering my ass. I am not a Dragon Age expert. I know of the Dragon Age experts right there, and I can't even hold a candle up against them.
Isn't that rough talking Dragon Age with Dragon Age experts? Oh, it is so hard.
Right?
Yeah,
Well, you haven't played any of the games, so it
Yeah.
makes sense that you can't do it, Tucker.
Well, I
and
mean, yeah,
it,
fair.
it helps with me because I've read all the books and I've read all the comics.
Okay, so you're ahead of me.
Yeah. So like, and that's granted, especially with my channel, that's a little bit more of my forte is focusing on the books and the comics.
In fact, we should get into that. You have a channel, BioWare Babbling. What is on there, and what do you like to do?
Okay, so my main channel is I cover the books and comics of all of the BioWare franchises that there are books and comics on. So Anthem, Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Baldur's Gate. Those are the main franchises that have books and comics. So I do reviews and summaries of those books and comics.
I didn't realize Anthem had one, but of course they did.
Yeah, it was
Of course.
very surprising for me to find that out too. There's 3 of them actually.
No way.
There's 3. Yeah, there's 3 comics.
Were the books more successful than the game?
No, because I didn't know about them, and I don't know of anyone else who knew about them.
Yeah,
either, so
I mean, I've played the game, and I didn't know they were there, so I can't imagine.
Apparently you've beaten the game. I didn't know that.
I've beaten
Yeah.
the game twice on 2 different systems.
And
Yeah.
when you talked about it, you said that, like, oh, I've barely played it or something like that, and you've beaten it twice. I've, like,
Did I say I barely
looked at
played
the
it?
cover art.
yeah, I've put in about 200 plus hours into Anthem.
Yeah, I'm less
Like
than
I have
that,
a full
but yeah.
legend. Yeah, I have like a full legendary storm build.
Okay.
So
The Storm is the only character worth playing. Well, actually, that's not true. Juggernaut and Storm, that's it.
Oh,
yeah, for
if
sure.
you've spent 200-something hours in Anthem, something that might excite you, that is news that's just kind of come out, is that there is a Star Wars game that's being made by Ubisoft.
Yeah, the open world. Yeah,
And it has, like, the producer or something from Division.
So
The Division 2?
Electronic Arts will have to
that's
try.
an interesting choice.
They'll have to try when they make their next Star Wars game, which is the positive with that.
Fallen Order was fantastic.
I know. It was the
And-
first. It felt like the first time they really tried and gave it time.
Well,
Yeah.
the way that they fixed Battlefront 2 was also, like, what Battlefront 2 is right now is actually a phenomenal game. It's
yeah.
really fun. And Star Wars Squadrons is, again, for a cheaper purchase, it's not a full price game. It's still pretty fun. Like,
How did that
yeah.
end up doing financially?
Not a clue. I just enjoyed the
'Cause
game,
that's-
thought it was fun mechanic-wise and creative.
That's the one weird thing I've been wondering about it. There's no microtransactions in it. It's only $40, so either that game had to be developed at a ridiculously cheap price, which I don't know how they would have pulled that off.
I think they just split it off from Battlefront 2. Is how
2.
basically
Yeah,
how it
well,
happened.
It was cut
From-
content from Battlefront 2 that it was going to be what the space battles were going to be like, but they minimized them or kind of cut back on the mechanics, and then they fleshed it out more. They like had the idea of it, and they're like, hey, let's expand upon this, because games like Siege are popular and other arena shooters like that, tactical arena shooters.
Yeah, I get you there.
So I don't know enough about it. I read one article that said it didn't do well, but I did not trust the source, so I need to stop repeating untrusted sources.
I mean, I could trust that maybe it didn't sell well, but I would say that it's still a fun game.
Yeah, there are two different ways to look at it. Is the game fun? Did it do well financially?
Yeah.
They don't always match up and not always in the right order. Sometimes they do well financially or not fun.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's one thing I've learned with BioWare is that just BioWare in general is like Andromeda. Oh, Andromeda was such a fail. Bitch, the thing made profit. Same with Anthem. Anthem turned to profit.
Did Anthem actually get to profit, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Get to profit with the marketing budget. Although the marketing budget, I don't remember that being very intense.
Yeah, no. I remember Andromeda's and Anthem's budget. I know Anthem's was a little bit different. They tried to go a little bit different route with it.
Yeah.
But no, both of them were profitable.
So, do you have the actual number on the Andromeda budget? Because I did a bunch of research on that, and I came to the conclusion that no one really knows.
No, I don't have the numbers for it, but with how... I mean, like, Tucker, you probably have a good idea of this. The game industry is a little bit too secret for my personal liking, that it's just really, at best, most of the time, people can speculate and things like that, but...
Yeah, they
what
even
do you mean
hide...
secret?
They hide sales numbers now, which nobody does in the entertainment industry. Nobody hides sales numbers.
I mean, the gaming industry is extremely profitable. It might be more, not in total sense, but in the direction it is going, it might be more profitable than the movie industry.
Yeah,
I think it might already be at that
It
stage.
depends on the games.
I would
and
say that it is, but I'm not that confident.
I feel like a direct comparison from the movie industry to games doesn't quite work because there are so many different types of games, and there's only one kind of movie, which is a movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the film industry, like TV, movies.
If you expand into television and online stuff, and then you get closer, but it's still a visual format where people are putting on a performance, and you get visuals and audio, and that's it. Whereas
it's a passive entertainment, and one is more
games
interactive.
really, really spread out. I mean, you got your little mobile phone games that rake it in, and you got your crazy... Well, whatever. We could get into that on a separate podcast, I think.
Especially because GTA 5 made $1 billion in 2 days. That that is the fastest selling entertainment thing in total.
You know what I saw? GTA 5 made $500 million last year.
Yeah, I mean they make
just with their online stuff
a day.
$500 million, and the game's been out for how many years?
Yeah,
and there's still, and it's not even that interesting.
Well, the PS2 had 3 GTAs, and GTA 5 has 3 PlayStations.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I have more than 3 PlayStations.
Well, even I believe it was the Old Republic MMO that's made over $1 billion in 8 years, which I mean that
had one of the highest budgets reported for games from what I remember, right?
Yeah.
And then they had to rework it. And the fact that they reworked it successfully actually has me hopeful for Anthem, because a lot of the people who reworked that are reworking Anthem.
Yeah,
I mean, No Man's Sky got reworked heavily. And
No Man's Sky ran out of funding, which I didn't know about until I read into it some. They had to release the game because they were out of money. And that's why it wasn't quite what it wanted to be.
And their studio got flooded.
Yeah, that was part of them running out of money.
Yeah.
I imagine.
Yeah. Good Lord. I can't even imagine that leaking into like the server rooms and just be like, all right, guys, we're just foreclosing right now. There's no recovering after this, boys.
I think that's how it became a Sony exclusive, was because Sony
offered to pick them up, yeah.
Yeah.
But Sony doesn't like to string projects along. They do a better job than a lot of companies, but they won't give you forever.
I mean, well, the Final Fantasy. Oh no! Wait, well, that's
Final Fantasy is not a Sony franchise. It's just on Sony platforms.
Mm-hmm.
The longest they gave, The Last Guardian took a long time, and they started freaking out about that, and the entire management of that game quit because they were putting pressure on him. But that's the
I
only
played
example
some-
I have.
I played some of the OG Final Fantasy VII over the weekend.
Did you really?
Yeah, it's on Game Pass.
How are those
So I
block
was like,
graphics
all
hold
right.
up?
Man, it is interesting because I've
Interesting.
definitely been taught. Like I've talked about that game a few times because how I went to college with video games. That game came up a few times, but I've never really like focused on what it looked like. But moving around that, it's really interesting because you see how they did it, and it is a 2D image on the background that you are running along, like a path, like that way.
Okay.
It's really interesting, but the gameplay is still fun, and I named Cloud Cloudy Boy because I was given the option to.
As you do.
So now everyone refers to him instead as Cloud, they refer to him as Cloudy Boy.
I feel like they just have to yell that in Italian. Like, hey, Cloudy Boy!
Well, because like
Yo, Cloudy Boy, get your ass over here!
Because Cloud is supposed to be like the savior or something of this universe or whatever, like however it goes in this. But I want the savior to be known as Cloudy Boy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a couple things before we begin the show.
Oh, we haven't begun it?
No, this is all in the show.
I mean, we are recording.
We are recording, and this is all going to end. But these are things that are at the very top of my outline that you never read.
No. I did humor it a little bit. I kind of glanced it over,
No,
but
I don't
to be
believe you.
honest, I don't remember any of it.
And I tried to send it in format, and it didn't work. So don't worry about it.
I sent it. I have it here right now. So.
Okay. So anyway, a couple things. I'm currently looking for podcast visuals, specifically extremely short video clips or pictures that I'm going to fold in. We've gotten a bunch, a couple
the
on
Discord
email,
channel.
and some on the Discord channel, which is in the comments or not the comments, the description box.
Yeah, y'all should come join, talk in the Discord. It's fun.
It's actually been pretty fun, I have to admit.
I poke in there occasionally and then leave and don't come back because I'm
you break
old.
my heart.
See, I don't know why you have such high expectations for me. I'm old now.
Because I want to be friends with you, Minius, and one day I will get my wish.
Minius, I totally get where you're coming from.
I don't know if I want to be friends with you, man.
I'm a part of multiple different Discord groups, and it's like, I will put my phone down for 5 minutes, I come back,
And then it's too late. Right?
Oh,
it's too late.
not only that, but I have like 50 freaking messages and stuff like that, and it's just like, how the fuck am I supposed to keep up with this shit? Damn!
I can only keep up with so many communities, and some of it has to not be with games for me. So,
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
I'll
understandable.
poke in there and I'll try to do that. But yeah, I got whatever. That's not important. At some point, we could do like live stuff in that Discord potentially, if enough people join or interested. So
I'm thinking of doing like a giveaway or something when the
A
Legendary
giveaway?
Edition's coming up. Yeah,
wow, that might get people. What are you going to give away?
the Legendary Edition with
That's
Master.
Oh
great.
shit!
I wanted to. I want to give away at some point the new art book that's supposed to be coming out around the same time.
Oh, that one.
Is there been
Actually-
a release date for that?
Not officially, I don't think, but I have
So
it
do you think they
pre-ordered.
could? If there's no official date, do you think it just could be the same day?
I
think the
expect
art-
it
seems
is.
likely.
I think
Yeah.
the art book has an official release date, but I don't think the Legendary Edition has come out with it. I think they're saying
if you're paying attention, someone leaked a Legendary Edition at March 12th, and I don't believe them.
Yeah, that's
March
what
12th. I thought
that's
that
what I
it
was about to say.
21st.
And I also heard a date like February 18th, and I don't believe anyone anymore.
I think the March one.
The March one sounds more likely, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that because as soon as that comes out, I'm going to play maybe 300 hours of Mass Effect, and I'm afraid I'm not going to get to Outriders now because it didn't. Outriders got delayed.
My plan is to take a week off from work and just be like, "Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Oh God, I'm sick. I'm with the Mass Effect-itis. I need to rest for like a week." Yeah.
I'm just worried because
Can't
in
they,
a month's time we might be in an actual civil war at that point. I don't know.
Well, that's fun to talk about. You can find other podcasts to talk about that stuff.
Oh, I wasn't going to talk about it. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to go into
The
it.
release
but-
date officially for the Art of the Mass Effect Trilogy Expanded Edition is February 23rd.
Oh, so it does have an official date.
Yeah. the
According
art
to
book
Amazon,
date, yeah.
that is when I'm going to receive it. Amazon jumps the gun, and Amazon doesn't always do things, but that is potentially.
I actually reached out to the head of merchandising for BioWare. Because the big thing, I hate supporting Amazon.
Because they ruin the country?
No, that and just other things. It's like... It's more... And it's like, I want to support BioWare as directly as I can.
Yeah.
I don't need to be throwing the... I don't need to throw Amazon any more money than I already have. So I actually asked them straight up, like, hey, what's the best way for me to do this exactly? And I'm hoping, my hope is in the future is that they start doing the books on the BioWare store, so that I can just get it that way and just
go directly.
Yeah.
I don't know how expensive all the logistics and hosting stuff is. There is a chance it's actually cheaper for them to do it through someone else, and they will end up making more money that way.
Yeah.
I don't have the answer to that, though, and that may be completely false.
Yeah. Well, it might be the easiest way to do it is to do it through the publisher. I think it's Penguin House that does the BioWare books. And I know anything outside of that is generally Dark Horse. So, like, the art book, comics, art book, comics, Heart in Hightown, those are all done by Dark Horse.
All right, so we are actually going to talk more about BioWare stuff today on today's show. I put out a call. We're going to host a Mass Effect game recommendation tournament on Twitter. And I asked for game recommendations, and I was like, I hope I get enough. I got 95.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, shit.
That's too many.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
Little bit.
It's
Dude,
5 away from 100.
Yeah, so a good number for a tournament is it's in groups of 4. So 64 is a really good number for a tournament. Mm-hmm. The next number that, if you were to expand it out there, would be 128. I don't know if I want to do 128.
Who do you think
need to do 128?
Who do you think
agree.
we are? The NCAA?
Well, that's kind of the idea behind this. That I think something went wrong with the NCAA tournament, so I hosted a game tournament, and that's kind of what this is. Yeah, no, it's directly influenced from that. But the idea is we're looking for a game that you would recommend to a Mass Effect fan. Mm-hmm. If you have a recommendation, you can try to slip one in. As I mentioned, I think we got enough. But first of all, before we jump into this, I want to get to your top 2 or 3 recommendations for a game to play for a Mass Effect fan. No limitations on what the game is, other than it can't be a Mass Effect game, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Should I go since I'm ready?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so my first one is the top one, and it's actually one of the bigger contenders. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. There's enough connections between the way they build that world and the way Mass Effect builds their world that it's the closest analogy I can think of to a Mass Effect game. It misses in a bunch of different categories, but it's still like if you're looking for a sci-fi experience that looks into specific science stuff, it doesn't look like it's that kind of game, but it is. Mm-hmm. So that would be number 1 on my list. Should we spread out? Tucker, do you got a number 1 game? Are you going to go with hipster games?
Define hipster.
You're just why are people recommending AAA games to someone who likes AAA games?
Well, I mean, I just find that boring.
But they like AAA games, so you're recommending a game for them.
But people know those games exist. Absolutely, you can go play those games if you enjoy Mass Effect and stuff. But if you're recommending something, I would try to recommend something that they may not have heard of.
I always think that there are games you hear of and you're like, eh. And if you hear it enough, then you try it. So I have no problem with saying the same things over and over again.
Yeah,
For instance, you haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, Tucker.
I have.
How much of it have you played? 15 minutes.
A part.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You haven't played Horizon Zero Dawn, Tucker.
Well, to be fair, I haven't played it either.
Okay.
I eventually do need to get on that.
But I know that is a good game. I know that's on my list of games to play. But if someone were to come up and be like, "Hey, there's this I have some games on my Xbox on there. It's like, hey, there's one of Where Did the Bees Go?" that's a fun game. It's only like 2 hours long. You'd be like, oh, cool. Yeah, no,
Okay.
I'll check that out.
Yeah,
or
no,
Beyond
yeah.
Eyes. Or
It's
something.
because Horizon Zero Dawn you need to play it for more than 2 hours, and you can't handle that.
Well, I mean, I do
Like,
kind of
you-
get distracted a little bit.
You're like into the hinterlands. You're like, no, I can't get out. I'm done.
I mean, today, or not today, this week, I played a bunch of different, like, I've been playing Doom. I've been playing some Final Fantasy VII.
Which Doom?
Eternal.
Okay.
Just because, like, I know that I didn't like it, so I went back and I've been replaying it with trying to, like, without the anchoring effect. Like, nope, go in, let's go in fresh.
By the
give
way,
it a
someone
try, and-
did recommend that, but let's go to your recommendation for a Mass Effect game.
Okay, so what about Starflight?
Starflight. Did you put that in the
I did.
Discord, didn't you?
I did. Do you know what that game is?
I had to look it up.
Oh, boo. Scott, do you know what that game is? Starflight.
Oh, it sounds super familiar, but I'm sure once you remind me of it, I'll probably figure it out.
So that game, by the way, is I put these games in categories, and that's all the way down at the bottom because I hadn't heard of it.
So Starflight is a game that came out in 1986 on like the Commodore 64.
That's why I've heard of it.
and
Okay.
Atari and stuff like that. It is a game that inspired Mass Effect. Here's the description of the game. Set in the year 4620, the game puts players in the role of a starship captain sent to explore the galaxy. There is no set path, allowing players to switch freely between mining, ship-to-ship combat, and alien diplomacy. The broader plot of the game emerges slowly as the player discovers that an ancient race of beings is causing stars to flare and destroy all living creatures.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So those are some familiar themes, though, that happened before there. So that actually sounds like a good recommendation. In the terms of this tournament, though, I can't see that beating anybody. No one's going to know what it is, yeah.
But it's a recommendation, and
Okay.
I mean,
that's what I asked for.
You can, you can look at look up an emulator with it, or just look up gameplay of it. Just kind of see what inspired Mass Effect.
There's a lot of sci-fi. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Scott, what do you got as your number one game recommendation for Mass Effect fans? I love how when I do something, Tucker always does whatever he wants. Will you do whatever you want? That's the question.
I actually had a kind of hard time coming up with one, because the biggest issue that I kept on getting hung up on was trying to find something in the RPG realm that was science fiction.
Yep.
Which there's not a lot. Like Horizon Zero Dawn is one.
It's not a direct analogy, is it either? It's Earthbound.
No,
it's not a space game.
No, it's really not. It's almost like, and it's the same way with the Fallout games, where it's like it almost very much fits its own category. The one thing I will say, and this is going to be cheap as hell, my number one recommendation is always going to be The Witcher 3.
That is not. We're going to get into that. That is not cheap. Go ahead.
And the reason why I'm saying it's cheap is because it's the gold standard of RPGs. At least for this era of games, to me, that's the gold standard.
There are so many connections to the way they do branching story and the way Mass Effect does branching story, though, that there are games that are overrated and there are games that are overset. I don't think The Witcher 3 is one of those. It's as good as it deserves to say.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's more of the easy to go to. It's just like, yeah, no. The Witcher 3, hands down, that would be probably the closest recommendation. But my biggest problem with it is it's a fantasy. There's so many like RPGs that would be great, but
fantasy's way more popular in that. I believe there are two main hookups. We'll talk about The Witcher 3. We're going to talk about each of these games that have been recommended. I think that'll be the favorite. So if we see this, that'll be the one seed.
I feel like that's going to be the one that's going to win just because it's Witcher 3 and everyone just loves
the idea. In order to get every game a fair chance, it'll get the weakest matchups as possible as it goes through.
Yeah.
So that's I mean, and it's one of the very few games. There's a couple things. There are three things I decided that can put people off to Witcher 3. Is one, that people talking about it too much, and the people who like Witcher 3 and really like Witcher 3 are ridiculously annoying about it, and they need to calm the fuck down.
Yeah. Have you heard about our Lord and Savior, The Witcher 3?
We all know the game's really, really good. You don't have to hold every game. You don't have to yell at a game for not being The Witcher 3.
Yeah.
If every game was The Witcher 3, The Witcher 3 wouldn't be good. But it is as good as you say.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got Cyberpunk.
That actually calmed him down a little bit.
Yeah,
But the second thing is that fantasy setting you talked about, because that turns people off immediately sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the third thing is your character is a specific guy who had at least 5 books written on him before the game came out.
Oh, more than that, I believe. I think
there's
like
a bunch of short stories. Yeah, there's 2 books of short stories, I think, and then a set of 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then the game came out, and then there was another book after that.
This
from
is
what I
gonna
understand.
be a bit of a tangent on at least CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red has shown that they're good at adaptations, but I mean, they also haven't done they haven't done their own IP yet. So
yeah, that was why I was really curious to see Cyberpunk, and I was slightly worried about it because they had to create so many characters as opposed to just writing things.
That was their third game that they've developed or something, right?
The first Witcher game, from what I understand, and I haven't played it because I keep on hearing this, is ridiculously rough. It's really, really rough, and that's why I was kind of expecting this one to be a little rough, because it's their first time doing a first-person shooter, and it feels like it.
Oh yeah.
There's actually... they've announced the DLC with Cyberpunk is delayed.
Well, they're not done yet.
Well, yeah, but
no shit. They still have to fix the rest of the game.
My guess is
the DLC.
They've got the finances in for it, at least.
Is cut content, is my guess. Is
the one thing I will say is I want to give Cyberpunk a fair shake when it comes to actually being in this tournament, because other than Horizon Zero Dawn, it's kind of one of the closest RPGs out there, especially in regards to it being a science fiction RPG.
Yeah, I have it.
So few of them, but at the same time, it's like, man, that game.
I kind of look at that as not out yet.
Yeah, like it's gonna need probably at least another 6 months to give it a fair shake, at least.
So I have Cyberpunk 2077 in the second tier out of 6 tiers of games.
Mm-hmm.
I have officially classified it as an underdog. We get there. Yeah. I have 8 contenders, and that is right below contender.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
But we'll get to these. I have a feeling this might be a 2-part show. Scott, what are you doing next week? My second game recommendation is FTL, which is
a good game.
It's been a while since that's come out now, right?
Oh
God, like 2012.
Yeah,
and I believe FTL is an indie game too.
It is an indie game.
It is.
Quick thing: Starflight was published by EA.
Why are you cutting me off again, man?
Why
would you do that? Why would you do that? Apparently, I got too mad at you last week, which I realized as I was re-recording it, and it came off. It was too bad. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how to stop you. Don't know how to stop you without getting really, really loud, because I've tried subtly doing it, and it just does not work. We'll try differently.
It's a crapshoot.
So anyway, FTL, there's aliens in it. You control a ship in space. It's got choices in it. It's all really light and kind of tabletop game inspired, but it's something that you should absolutely check out if you like space stuff.
Well, the choices that you make in it aren't like the choices in Massive. It's not. There's no dialogue choices like that.
No,
but there are
you're
choices.
Like, hey, do you go save this guy or grab the stuff? And it's randomized.
Like what you do during combat.
There is no
what you focus
on.
No,
specifically, you go to every single point. It'll ask you to do something, and you make a decision. And sometimes you have to fight. Sometimes you run. Sometimes you lose a crew member because you tried to help them out, or you just leave
there's permadeath.
And there's permadeath, and it's an awesome experience. I always go back to that every couple of years and start playing it again. Also, very difficult on the higher difficulties. But it is
even on normal difficulty. It's still difficult.
I guess that shouldn't be considered a higher difficulty, right? It's just a regular difficulty.
FTL is also a game that you can just kind of pick up and play like 10, 15 minutes of, and you'll get that experience. It doesn't require 4 or 5 hours to like understand the whole premise of the game.
Yeah, it's a simple premise, but not a very forgiving one at that.
Yeah, I have designated FTL as a long shot in the third tier of categories.
A game that reminds me of FTL a bit, or that keeps popping up whenever FTL gets mentioned, is Papers, Please.
Okay.
Have y'all ever played that?
I want to, and I keep on forgetting to do it, and it's so far down my backlog that I'm never going to get to it, I think. But
so it's also kind of it just reminds me of one of those games that you can just quickly play, and it is difficult. It escalates in difficulty quite so. And there's not a direct VR version of it, but there is a VR video game as well that I kind of played a little bit of, that you are like a border patrol person, but it's robots. And like you can scan the robots and you look around in your shed and you move things around, like do x-ray scans and do all this stuff. That's kind of cool.
Are you saying that's a recommendation? Should we skip you since
God,
you talked
no.
about a game? I want to skip you because you talked about a game that's not on topic. You're being skipped. Scott, what's your next recommendation?
I got to go for another cheap one.
That's fine.
I got to go for Skyrim.
Skyrim.
That's,
okay.
Again,
that is in my top 8
level.
contenders.
Yeah, that's going to be a grade game. It's kind of nice because it kind of proves the fact that both The Witcher 3 and Skyrim prove you don't really necessarily need a morality system to make some really fucking difficult choices in that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that games are starting to ditch a pure morality system.
Because
I know that's
have
a big
your own
part of
morale system.
Well, it's a big part of Mass Effect. You like renegade, and even the renegade, you're still kind of a nice person. You're just a dick.
Yeah, like when you push a guy at the window.
Yeah, that guy deserved it.
Or stab a guy with electrocuting forked prongs.
But he was going to kill you.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't know that yet. But,
Death isn't new to you.
All right, fine.
I wonder if he actually survived that.
It's possible.
Or he just got up and like, God damn it, that motherfucking... All right, I'm getting after this bitch.
So if we think about it, like, Shepard's kill-death record... He like...
I mean, you stab that guy, you either stab him then, or you kill him and all his friends later. I don't...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. Yeah, you were going to say about his death record?
I was just saying, like, Shepard died.
Oh.
And it came back. So, like, his death record is, like, cut in half.
Yeah.
No, that's not
his
how
KD
that works.
isn't that good, but...
No.
Okay, to be fair, his KD mostly is completely blown out of proportions.
Yeah, because how many Batarians did he wipe out with that?
Yeah, so to be fair, the Shepard's, like, KD is a little wonky.
That's not how you know who's got my favorite KD of all time?
Who?
Nathan Drake. Have you guys played the Uncharted series at all?
How
I have not.
I know that there's
someone way down
shooting
there
and stuff in that game.
So,
but
like,
is it actually
the dude? He's like a lighthearted adventure where he goes after treasure. He kills so many people in that game.
Really?
He's a fucking murderer. He's a horrible murderer, but he's so happy about it. And you're like, when you really think about it, you're like, man, this guy's killed 10,000 people trying to get to treasure.
Yeah, he's just casual, dude.
Fun games. Someone did put that in recommendations, but I
Which
forgot where I
one?
put it.
Like the first?
They
Isn't like the second
some
one
people
supposed
say
to be the best one of it?
Some people recommended series, and if they recommended a series and didn't specify, I just put the first one. That one's way down there, though. I don't. That is. I love that series, and that's not like very high on my Mass Effect game recommendation list.
That was kind of one thing with me is that they're a great series, but it's like I'm trying to pick something that a Mass Effect fan that is as close to Mass Effect as possible, which just really shows that how unique of the series Mass Effect is.
That's the most difficult part. There are people who like Mass Effect for so many different reasons.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
You can't. There's nothing that matches up quite perfectly with it.
Oh no, there absolutely isn't anything. We can get like close proximities and like. I mean, if you really think about it, we've had... Well, I mean, like, I know there's maybe only 3 or 4 that I can think of off the top of my head that are even remotely close to it. And even that is, like, a pretty far stretch. and there's enough uniqueness with them that it's like, okay, I can also make an argument of, no, these are separated enough that these aren't Mass Effect related.
This is a thing that I've noticed when it comes to game recommendations, that I've kind of noticed is part of the issue, is when you're asking for a game recommendation, like, what if people like Mass Effect, what game would you recommend? You need to kind of know what part of the game are you trying to recommend. Are you trying to recommend a narrative like Mass Effect, mechanics like Mass Effect, the theme of it, because you can if the person just really enjoys the choices of the game and not too much the RPG aspect of it, you could recommend the Telltale's Walking Dead or something like that. And but someone who really likes the RPG mechanics might want The Witcher instead. But the person that likes The Walking Dead, the choices of that might not like The Witcher. So it's like when people say, oh, what's your recommendation? Well, what did you like about this game that you want to play more of?
There are two purposes of this tournament. The first is to have fun.
Yeah,
so we're just having a discussion that's fun. The second is someone's going to see some game on here and go, oh, and then look into it.
Yeah.
So that's and I'm hoping that someone will find something to play. If one person finds one game they want to play, then we win. Then we won.
Yeah.
Very low bar. Very low bar, accidentally casual. All right, my third game was The Witcher 3, even though it's ridiculously obvious, and I was going to get into it. It doesn't matter that it's over. I mean, here's the point. Like Tucker, you're saying, Boo, you haven't even got past the Griffin. So it's hard
No.
It's hard to take
beat
you too
the
seriously.
Griffin. I haven't gotten past that.
Then you were like, eh.
So you're still in... Oh, God.
I left the tutorial area, and I talked to a guy that was in the castle, and...
If you don't like fantasy, it's not going to do it for you. You're going to be stuck. It's very, very specific. So.
Yeah, it is a very fantasy-esque game.
All right,
I was going to recommend Destiny 2, but I feel like I couldn't recommend that.
No, go ahead. Say why you would recommend Destiny 2, though.
Well, I mean, it had, the way that you can play it like a normal shooter. You can focus on abilities. You can do kind of stuff like that. The space theme of it, the just kind of the atmosphere of it is impending doom, but also a bit comical, and there's some lightheartedness to it, which is what Mass Effect is an impending doom, but not like Dead Space's impending doom. It's for something that can be fought off, not gothic horror.
Well, and it's also an impending doom, but hey, let's go get a drink at the bar while we're at it. Hey, Garrus? Yeah!
And then Destiny 2 has some lightheartedness of it, but the space theme of it,
So it's not because you're in the credits.
Yeah,
okay.
That's why I didn't think I could recommend it, because
I have announcing some conflict of interest in this game.
Yeah.
There are no restrictions on this. I was going to put extra restrictions. There's one thing. First of all, I guess before we go too much further, because there are just so many games to get on here. There's some things we want to solve.
Did I ever give a second recommendation?
I guess Destiny 2 is your second recommendation. Do you want a second and a third before I...
Well, I mean, my second recommendation was going to be L.A. Noire.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I can see L.A. Noire.
It is... Your choices are impactful. Mm-hmm. It's not one of those, oh, your choices matter, quote unquote. It does change it, especially later on when you're solving cases. It is story heavy with a fascinating story as it goes through, and it's Rockstar, great mechanics and so on. It's not an RPG, but if you enjoy the choice aspect and having to sit there and think of your decisions and try to make it the right decision, it's a fun game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can get you there on that one.
Yeah, no, I totally... And there's just so many that are like, it fits in this specific category really, really well.
I could argue almost any game to fit into this.
Almost any game.
Yeah, that's...
We'll get there. So here's a couple things. I need to seed this tournament to try to give every game as even a chance as possible. I don't want to put legitimate contenders up against The Witcher right away. That's not fair.
Yeah.
They're going to get murdered. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to put these into tiers, and eventually I will shake it out. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go down a bunch of games. If you hear a game you like, have played, want to talk about, we'll do that.
Oh, I think I haven't done my third one yet. Oops.
You have? I'm cutting everybody off. I'm Tucker. Go ahead.
The one thing I would say for me, my third pick is going to be any of the Telltale games. So it's much more of a pick your taste. My taste personally is The Wolf Among Us. That shit my jam. But
That's a good one.
yeah, like if you want to just emotionally destroy yourself, you know, The Walking Dead's a good way to go. If you want
the end of the first season made me cry man tears.
it made everyone cry.
I don't want to talk zombies ever again.
But if you don't want, if you have an infernal hatred to zombies,
I don't hate them. I'm just tired of them.
See, it's funny. I have a weird relationship with them because
There's Borderlands.
Yeah, Borderlands. You have the Batman series. Like, there's several. Different...
I feel weird about the Batman one. The whole relationship that Joker and Batman had in it. I understand they were doing their own thing. I just felt kind of weird.
Yeah,
with that.
I can get you there on that one.
But I'm also pretty happy because I got Alfred to be happy at one point, and only like 0.06% other people were able to like make the right choices to make Alfred happy. And I was so like, I mean, someone else died, but I'm like, fuck yeah, Alfred's happy.
Alfred, your happiness is more important than that guy who died.
All right, so I put there are a couple people who recommended Telltale games. The only two I put on the list were Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us. Do I need to add something?
I would say those are the standout ones.
Yeah, that's
those
why
are the
since
those
nobody
are the contenders.
Since nobody said anything specific, I just went with those two and left them.
Although they do have the Minecraft one, and I think that is playable on Netflix. I think you can play the Minecraft Telltale game on Netflix.
Work.
It plays akin to Bandersnatch.
Okay.
I could argue that Bandersnatch could be on this list.
Hey. Come on. We have to have standards here.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, so here's a couple things. First of all, there's a question. Do we allow multiple games per series? My inclination is no.
Well,
unless it's a very specific series. Like, I'm going to have 2 Dragon Age games on this list.
So I'm going to actually make a contention for yes, because we are saying for a Mass Effect fan, we're including the whole series. So for me, while I can understand where it would be a lot easier for us to just do one game, I think that logistically that would make it easier. However, I'm going to say we are trying to recommend someone who is a fan of a series to another game, and I think series should be included in that.
The problem I have with that, if you go directly with a series, is that gives those series a huge advantage over the other games.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you could have, there's some games where if you have 3, that nearly feel...
Yeah, like
that
comparing the Halo series to FTL would have
It would kick it all over the place, basically.
Well, yeah. Well, it would just be numerically an advantage.
So
like,
that's why I wanted to pick one specific game.
Okay.
And then if you say, like, for instance, you know how many Fallout games are recommended?
All of them?
6. I had to count on my fingers.
Yeah.
So that means that some of the isometric Fallouts were recommended then.
Yeah. 1 and 2.
Yeah. I would almost say the best idea to go then is probably almost to, if we are going to do a series, do the best one, what is generally considered the best in the series.
Yeah, I would say like it's one that would be the best starting point, is what I was thinking.
Okay.
But this is not going to be very tankerous. What I really want to do is I want to avoid, for instance, having a round where it's Fallout 1, Fallout 2, Fallout New Vegas.
I would say if they are different enough, like Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas are both great games, but they are for the most part the same kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like you're just looking at story at that point, but they play the same. They kind of just act the same way. I wouldn't say that is a good enough reason to have both of them on there. But if it, and I don't think this would not be on the list, but if it is like a Halo game and then Halo Wars, that's an RTS game, then one is an FPS game. That is different enough to do that.
Okay.
Or Fallout 3 and Fallout 76, which Fallout is 76 is a multiplayer one.
Someone recommended Fallout 76. Has anyone played that recently? Is it work now?
Yeah, nope. I saw it was a dumpster fire, and I just went, hell nah.
Okay.
Not touching that.
Yeah, there are some on here that we'll have a preliminary round and we'll get all this stuff sorted. We'll see.
Almost like if I were to use a sports analogy, we're going to have pods, and then whoever wins in the pods will make it to the actual tournament brackets.
That is an obscure sports reference.
That's how I did sports, so like at high level, like I know that
pods. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
we're gonna lose people, so I'm gonna move us back on. I like sports quite a bit, but no one else. There's not a lot of crossover, which is what we're doing here. So, for instance, Deus Ex: Human Revolution was highly recommended.
Yeah,
but also Deus Ex: Mankind Divided was recommended. So I put Deus Ex: Mankind Divided off the bracket.
Okay,
that's what I was thinking along the lines of.
Because you would do essentially the one that would lead to the next.
Yeah.
Okay,
that is the one. So you're like there, and you can go from there.
Yeah.
So
I could agree with that.
Yeah, the other one. So I was gonna. We need to pick. I was gonna, since there's so many Fallout games, I was gonna pick two. And I don't know which ones to go with.
I don't know how much I like that, because if almost every other game,
they're very identical. Do we want to just go with one?
I almost want to do that, but on the grounds of fairness of how many in that list are going to have more than one entry.
Not many.
Yeah. So
yeah, this is. I'm going over them now. Yeah, not many.
Yeah, not many. So I almost want to say, in the
here's
sake of
what we'll
fairness,
do. We will have a prelim with the top 4 Fallout games, and the winner will take the Fallout seed.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
So we'll go Fallout's 3, 4, New Vegas, and do we have a fourth one, or should we just go with those 3? Because those three stand out.
Yeah. I would actually do... Let's add another one, because then it can make it a little bit easier for options. So...
What is your other one, then? You get to choose.
Okay. So, you have Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas. I'm going to put a contention for either Fallout 1 or 2, of just so that we have a game from that original generation in the fight.
It might
how fair of a fight that is, maybe not.
Should we we'll go with the original and just see how it does?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that would be fair.
It gives it a chance.
Have you played any of those, Fallout 1 or 2?
No, I have not.
No.
That was before it was Bethesda.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I kind of wanted, because it's the same franchise, but one, it's a little bit easier to have a pod with 4 people, or with 4 contenders, and 2...
We're going to call them groups.
Yeah, groups,
for the purposes
pods,
of this. Yeah.
Tomato.
Let me go over the format, basically. So we're going to have, it's going to be groups of 4, and the top 2 move on.
Makes sense.
So then the top 2 will move on together to face the top 2 from another group, and they will form a new group in the quarterfinals or whatever. Yeah. But for the purposes of some other stuff, like that tiebreaker one, it'll be a winner-take-all for Fallout.
Yeah, which is fair.
All right, the other one's on there. Here's Red Dead Redemption versus Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead 2.
Red Dead.
I would...
Yeah.
Really? Because I would not I would recommend Red Dead 1 over Red Dead 2, but...
I would recommend Red Dead 2.
Red Dead 2 is extremely good game. It's also like walking through mud for entertainment.
Yeah, but it's also definitely a spectacle of a game.
The reason why I would say Red Dead 2 is better is while with Red Dead 1, RDR 1, The one thing that's nice about it is that, yeah, it kind of focuses on a main character, like, the Mass Effect series does, but Red Dead Redemption 2 not only also has that mainly focusing on one character, but other characters play a much bigger highlight similar to the Mass Effect series, and the fact that
That's true.
the moral choices that you can make in Red Dead Redemption 2, that scale is so much larger and is much more meaningful than it is in the original Red Dead Redemption.
I'm sold.
Not to
as far as a choice.
but
Yeah,
I just kind of think it's funny how they have horse testicles that shrink.
I mean, yeah.
that is something you would focus on, wasn't it?
That was so
You can't
that
take
was
your
a
eyes
selling point.
off horse testicles.
That was not a selling point, but that was a marketing thing, and this is what Rockstar did well that CD Projekt Red did not. And Rockstar came out with a thing that was like, oh yeah, the horse testicles shrink being when it's cold, and that was a small kind of thing, kind of a joke. It added to the realism, but was a funny little thing. CD Projekt Red comes out and says that you can customize your genitals, and when you load the game up and you can choose circumcised or uncircumcised penis, the size of it, and so on like that, or all these other things, you can customize that, but then there's nothing of that in the game.
Yeah.
There's zero. So like they advertised. Rockstar didn't advertise the horse testicles, but they did kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
But how they talked about it amounted to how much it was in the game.
Yeah.
While CD Projekt Red was like, hey, you can customize your genitals and everything like that. And everyone was like, oh, this is incredible. This is going to be awesome. It's the first game where you can do that. And then,
in fairness
it's
to
even
CD
worse than
Projekt,
that because you have one type of vagina and that's it.
or we're getting
Yeah.
sidetracked a little bit. All right,
So,
one more thing on
Minius.
this. No, I'm not done, Tucker. Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate 3 is in early access right now.
Yeah. How many other games are
I
in
don't-
early access that are on the list?
That is the only one on here that I have in early access. And I am going to probably drop that one because the game is not out yet. But
Why
was gonna put
would
that-
you recommend Baldur's Gate 3 is the question for it
I
to
was
Mass Effect.
not the one who recommended it.
Okay.
So I don't have your answer there, but it was recommended multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would determine it, like not like
Baldur's Gate
I don't care if
is,
it's early access or not, but it's like
Baldur's Gate 2 is going to be on the list no matter what, because that is a straight BioWare game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remove the original Baldur's Gate because Baldur's Gate 2 is the one everyone talks about.
Mm-hmm. Baldur's Gate 3.
So does Baldur's Gate 3 deserve to be there alongside Baldur's Gate 2?
I think this is fine if Baldur's Gate 2 is there.
Yeah. Well, and that even makes it more complicated because we have the Bethesda situation where, I mean, on the one hand, it would almost be easier to leave out Baldur's Gate 3 on the grounds
It'd be
of
so much easier.
just being able to say, hey, we have, it's in early access, we don't know what the full game is, it's not a fair comparison, even on the grounds of just saying, we don't even know, this game could even do better than if it was only, I think we only get access to like 12 hours of the game. It could do worse, but
I think I'll leave it off and then we'll bring it back up when it's complete. I am not a huge fan of early access. I understand why a lot of people like it. That's fine. But it's a personal pet peeve of mine to release unfinished products and have you pay for them.
Yeah.
I do not like that.
Yeah.
I think it all depends on the intent behind the people that are releasing it.
Which
and
is
so on.
very difficult to tell what the actual intent is.
Yeah, because it's not like the video game industry ever wants to,
Remember how we
tell
were
us
talking
their
about how
intentions
great
or
CD
be
Projekt Red's
transparent.
intent was with Cyberpunk?
Yeah.
Yeah, that turned out to be
Man.
wrong.
That kind of reminds me. There was one guy who raised money for a video game, and then he ended up spending all the money on like hookers and alcohol.
That happens. Yeah.
He crowdfunded a lot of money.
Yeah.
And
Of course. I mean, this is I understand why you want to support things in crowdfunding. That's why I don't do that. Even like the guy who got the whatever. I won't get into that. So this looks like I want to get this tournament started, but I also want to do it right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how far along we get.
Okay.
In identifying stuff, and then I think what I'll end up doing is I'll end up seeding these and sending it to both of you, and then have you say this is ridiculous. But let's try to get your input on that ahead of time. So I have 8 contenders. There are 8 games that stand out above all the others.
Okay.
The first one, these are in alphabetical order, not the specific. Deus Ex Human Revolution, Horizon Zero Dawn, Outer Worlds, Skyrim, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age Inquisition, and Witcher 3 Wild Hunt.
I've only played one of those games.
What?
How many of them?
So those would be the 8 that I think have the best shot of actually winning the tournament.
Yeah,
Sounds about right.
Not necessarily the best recommendations. Yeah, those are the ones that are going to beat other teams.
Is Alpha Protocol on the list?
I don't think so. That would have been another question later. All right, well, have to write that down. I'm gonna get into more games, and we'll see if something needs to be sent up or down. Does that?
Yeah. I think the one thing I'm gonna, God, and this is how I get poo-pooed on by the Dragon Age community.
Watch out!
Yeah, I know. I'm shooting myself in the foot right now, y'all. I think we might have to eliminate one of the Dragon Age games.
Is that
just off of the precedents we've already created of like, hey, there should really be only one in the series, and right now we got 2 in the top contention.
So I had 3 in the actual tournament because I was going to put them all in there, but they were going to be spread out a little bit to make it fairer. I think the debate between Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age Inquisition is something that is people feel very, very strongly about.
Yeah.
And I'm not really willing to make a decision for those people.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just, I don't know. The one thing that kind of gets me about that is we're trying to make it fair as possible. You know, we're trying to, like with the Fallout series and stuff like that. And a part of me almost thinks that the fact that we're not doing that for the Dragon Age series seems a little unfair, since especially it, like, what, 2 of the games are in the top 8 on most likely to win.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's just in seeding.
Yeah. So,
should we do another preliminary tournament then? Which of these 3 Dragon Age games should be represented in the Mass Effect recommendation tournament?
Yeah, I think.
Ooh, that one's going to be contentious.
Oh, it's going to be contentious. We're going to get yelled at. We're going to be told stupid as hell. But we also have to be fair.
Don't worry about it. It's not our fault who people vote for.
Yeah.
They can yell. I mean, that's why we're having the vote. That's why people vote, and we're going to count all the votes.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think we got to be fair about it.
Okay.
If we're doing it for other series, we got to also do it for Dragon Age.
The other one the other question that would come in there then, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, and then the Old Republic MMO.
Ooh. Oh, shit. Okay.
I feel like they're different enough to separate them.
Yeah.
And I did not have Knights of the Old Republic 2 on the list.
Yeah.
Would you recommend an MMO, though?
Yeah, that's also another thing, is how well would an MMO do?
Because that is some major commitment.
But
recommending a game like that.
There's the Knights of the Old Republic. The Old Republic is got a lot of story to it, and it was written by Drew Karpyshyn, who wrote Mass Effect. So, or a lot of it was. I shouldn't say it was. A lot of it was. So that's why that kind of has to be on there, in my opinion. Yeah,
and I can actually say this because I've read. I think I'm on the Dark Alliance, and that's the last of the Old Republic books I have to read. Drew Karpyshyn's books are generally considered the best of that realm.
Okay, so we'll leave those both on there. We will have a a mini Dragon Age tournament, a mini Fallout tournament. Are there any other mini tournaments I want to make? One more point of contention, and I might overrule you guys on this anyway. Someone recommended Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. And I'm going to remove those from the tournament from the fact that, A, I don't really feel like that's what I would recommend to a Mass Effect fan specifically. But more importantly, those games are so heavy that I could see them knocking out games that are more deserving. Just on
I don't see how those relate to the Mass Effect series.
Yeah, there are other ones that I don't think really relate to it, but that's the only series that is far enough away from it and has enough weight to disrupt the tournament.
Yeah. I would just say, I think we would have to go with the own rules we've already created of just, hey, we're going to use Mass Effect, or good lord, sorry. We're going to do the same thing where, I think we should do the same thing of like, hey, who should be the representative for the Grand Theft Auto series?
Oh, I'm just gonna leave it out in particular, just because Grand Theft Auto. Yeah.
So I'm going to be actually 100% honest with you. I think that decision's okay on the grounds of me just being, God, this is going to make me sound like a fucking creeper, but me paying attention to just Twitter results from your Twitter polls over the years, Minius. I really don't think Grand Theft Auto is going to be that big, just from what I've gauged from a lot of your polls over the years and getting an idea of like the demographics.
Yeah, I'm not worried about leaving it off for the point of, if you haven't heard of Grand Theft Auto, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you're a video game person, you don't know what that is. You're in for some surprises with every single.
Then
video
you're
game
too
out
young
there.
for this already.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Also, I would almost say like, damn, you don't know what that is. That's a round of applause for you. Well done. I don't know how you avoided it.
So, and anyway, I agree that it might not do well. It also, depending on, this is going to be on Twitter, and depending on where it goes, it has the potential to get out of hand. So I'm just going to nip that one in the bud.
Yeah, that is fair enough.
Okay. So we have this. So I guess another tournament we need for which game is recommended. This is the first on what I consider the underdogs. Which Assassin's Creed game makes the list?
Ooh,
I have Odyssey specifically because, but if we're gonna do these tournaments with a Fallout tournament and a Dragon Age tournament, we might as well do a Dragon Age, an Assassin's Creed tournament too.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think an Assassin's Creed tournament will be fair.
All right, so
I haven't played past Black Flag, and I don't think any of the ones prior to that, although fantastic games, would be a Mass Effect recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the same boat as Tucker. I stopped after Black Flag. Black Flag is my favorite of the series. Because
Odyssey is something
I love to raid some booty.
Yeah. Odyssey is something different. That's really where, and I Origins a little bit too, but Odyssey, it's somewhere in between a Dragon Age game and The Witcher and Mass Effect game. So that's why it's actually on the second tier. I call them underdogs, but we'll do a Dragon Age I keep on saying Dragon Age. Assassin's Creed tournament. We'll go with Odyssey. There were a couple of people who recommended Valhalla. I have not played that yet. I kind of want to wait for them to actually come out with all the stuff that belongs there.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go with Origins too, because I see that a lot. And do you guys want to put Black Flag as the third one?
I mean, it's a fun game, but I don't feel like it's a recommendation.
That's kind of the way I felt. Like if someone's like,
because it's not it doesn't have like any sort of space theme. There's no choices, although like the story is kind of fun.
Honestly, the big thing I see with it is more the last, in my opinion, of the game, of that original before the reboot with Origins, the last real like game that had actual like a heavy science fiction part of it was going to be Assassin's Creed 3. And I don't think that game's going to do very well in it.
I don't like the science fiction in Assassin's Creed at all, but that's a completely different show.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
That's like
It did come out of nowhere in
And-
the very first
and
game.
it's
like it
it's
was
something
in
like
none of the advertisements.
you're
or
just
yeah,
like
anything.
this isn't working for me. This is
I
just
didn't
too
say
dumb.
it was good.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that one, it was the last game to really have a heavy science fiction part of it. And I don't even think on the grounds that Assassin's Creed 3 is going to do well in a tournament compared to its other games, let alone once it actually gets into, if it were to somehow win and go into the bracket, I don't think it would last.
I
very
assume
long
the
at all.
ass beating it would get from either Odyssey or Valhalla or even Origins would be so bad that
Oh,
we
yeah.
wouldn't have to worry about it.
It
All
would
right,
go
so-
into the, it went into the wrong hood and got beat the shit
All right.
out of.
I will ask the Twitterverse. By the way, you can follow us all on Twitter. I'm at MiniusGC. Tucker is at EpiTucker. Scott is at BioWareB. If you want to be a part of this conversation as it comes out. But check my Twitter for going forward, and we'll also be discussing these as we go forward on the show. All right.
And on the Discord.
And on the Discord. Thank you.
And there's also something. So, how you
Uh-oh.
talked about FTL, I just realized that it is on Game Pass.
Is FTL
on PC?
Oh, it has to be on PC because it's the only. It didn't come out on console.
However, it is leaving Game Pass on the 16th.
Oh
Are you sure you're not sponsored by
He
Game
is.
Pass by any chance?
no! He is.
No. I just like this.
Okay, you know what, just for clarity's sake, just want to make sure.
I'll
Do we
actually.
need to put sponsored advertisement in
I gotta
the
be
corner
careful.
of this video?
Another game that's in that mold. People said Outer Worlds. I say Outer Wilds.
Yeah, I get those swapped around too.
Yeah.
No, I mean Outer Wilds is a different game, and that one
Oh, yeah.
I recommend very highly. I don't think it would do well in the tournament, but I just want to put that in the same vein.
But Outer Worlds is like
Is
Fallout in space.
Yeah, is the Fallout.
Which I heard it wasn't as RPG as they were expecting it, as fans were expecting, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like
I
it
don't-
didn't meet expectations. I think. is
I'm
what
finding that nobody hits the RPG exactly what the fans want. It's impossible. It's either too much or too little.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
let's
also
go
think
over.
it's what generation you're trying to hit too. I see that all the time when it comes to like the Dragon Age community, where it's like, I wanted it more like Origins, or I want it more like Inquisition, and there's a significant age range in between the two of them. If you look at averages, in my opinion.
All right, so we're going to have some prelims as far as this Mass Effect tournament goes. Let's run over some of the games that could be in the prelim, and you need to say this game needs to absolutely be in the tournament.
Okay.
You have the designation to pull these off of we'll call it the bubble. All right, so there are two categories. I call them outliers, which only one person recommended, and I left that there. There's some that I would pull off there by myself, but we'll go there. And then a category I called also, which are games I haven't heard about before.
Mm-hmm.
All
I
right.
see Starflight on there.
Yep. Now that you've jogged my memory, now I know what you're talking about, but I did not get that in the first place. Okay, so let's go outliers. Alien Isolation.
Absolutely, that game slaps.
Okay.
That is a game I really want to replay because I really enjoyed it the first time I played it. That was a game that gave me a damn near heart attack.
Okay.
It was
Is that
fantastic.
as a Mass Effect? There's a difference between a fantastic game and a game you recommend to a Mass Effect person, though.
I'm gonna say I'm
mean,
eliminating it.
Alien is what helped inspire Mass Effect.
All right. Well, you want to get
The-
there. You've already had two things that inspired everything inspired Mass Effect. Stop it.
Well, that's not true.
Buck Rogers
The Witcher
inspired
3 didn't.
Buck Rogers inspired Mass Effect. All the
I'm-
Witcher 3 came out afterwards. My whole point
Well,
is that every
yeah.
every sci-fi thing is in there.
Well,
All right.
Unless you include Andromeda, but we're not going there. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, just letting you know, I'm wearing my Andromeda t-shirt at the moment.
You
so-
have an Andromeda t-shirt.
Yes,
I
I,
have
do.
one too.
I have three.
Mine is is a little faded. I bought another one probably a year and a half to 2 years ago that fits me better. In about 2 months, the logo was completely gone. It was
If we do that
Minius.
again, we'll have to try to find the. Yeah, I there were different prints on them, and some of them because I got them at different times, and they were made in different spots with different ink on it.
Yeah, But yeah, no,
I bought
so aware.
one for Conrad Berner, and I couldn't get it on him. So
Aw.
it's like a 6XL.
Oof.
Anyway, all right, down to the.
I'm eliminating Alien Isolation.
Well, you're downvoting it. What you're doing. We're gonna find out at this point. I want to get around 64, and so if there are other ones that are less deserving than that, it'll get bumped back up the list. I kind of agree with Tucker that that's a reasonable recommendation from the standpoint of some of the other ones on here, at least.
Something that is enjoyable with that is it is the past version of what they thought the future is going to look like. And
that's true.
That is always just kind of charming.
I just think the problem is, for me, it's in such a different genre. Like, it is really one of the kings of the horror genre that has done it well.
Is The Walking Dead one of your recommendations?
Yeah, I'd actually say Alien Isolation is more in the genre than Walking Dead.
Okay.
Because
I would still say The Walking Dead is a fantastic recommendation, just because the
Walking Dead
of it
is in the tournament, so that's already locked in.
Okay.
All right, we need to go over these a bit faster, because we could talk about this for the next 2 hours, which is fine.
That's the point.
But I do need to edit this whole thing, and if it takes 4 hours, that's going to take me an extra 5 hours to do it.
Fair enough.
The Bard's Tale.
Haven't played it. No idea.
No idea.
I have that installed, but I haven't played it yet either.
Okay, I've heard of it. Haven't. Here's one. Blood.
Wasn't that made by some BioWare people?
It might have been.
The Bard's Tale? Because I remember that there were some BioWare folks broke off and made some game.
You might be thinking of Banner Saga.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Which was not recommended, but I'm actually going to put it on the list anyway.
No, it can swap out for Bard's Tale.
No, there's no swapping. It's jumping the list.
Oh.
Because I did.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to add some on here that jump the list.
Yeah.
They got the VIP tickets.
Yeah. Well, it's my tournament. Take that. Bloodborne.
I'm downvoting it.
Okay.
I think it's too much. It's too uniquely its own thing.
Okay.
And especially how it does its storytelling through a lot of environmental storytelling, and there's not a lot of choices in it.
There are branching endings to it.
There are, but that more depends on how much you beat and how many side quests you do, versus choices you make within them. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. I will put that on the borderline.
Yeah.
Cloudpunk.
I have not heard of that.
Which I am going to just go ahead and upvote anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that should be in the top 64.
Okay.
Control.
Haven't played.
That was a great game. That was one of my top games of 2020.
Which didn't come out in 2020.
Nah, well, I mean, in my heart it did.
Yeah, your heart is messed up.
It is. But I would definitely
casualness of this, like, yep.
I would definitely, you can maybe build, you could build a character around with some sort of RPG elements of that.
There's enough of the action element on that, as far as it's more than just a shooter, that it fits in for me.
It feel like the way you use your abilities is how I kind of first imagined how you would use
Biotics,
yeah. And so it's all wavy and stuff. It's fun. It's a fun game, especially once you get into the flow of it.
We'll bump that one up. The Council. I don't know what that is.
I want to.
You don't know that game?
No, it's on the list though.
I don't know it either, but it's on the list that you made, and you know.
Okay, I did not make this list. I asked people for recommendations. They sent them to me, and I cataloged them.
Fair.
I just compiled the list.
Yeah.
Deliver Us to the Moon. I'm bumping that one up.
Ooh, I've heard that's a good game.
I haven't played it, but I'm bumping it up.
Yeah.
You haven't played it, but you're bumping it up.
Yes, because I saw that. I'm like, dude, I need to play that game, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
Especially, I would say Deliver Us to the Moon. Yes, even though I haven't played it, I've seen playthroughs of it. Especially if you're a fan of the emotional devastation from that Mass Effect can provide you, but actually want a happy ending, unlike what Mass Effect can provide you.
Spoilers!
Spoilers! I would say Deliver Us to the Moon. Yeah, that would be a good choice.
Yeah, I of course that's me not having played it, but I recommend it to myself, so that counts, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
I was about to say, to quote you, it's my own tournament. I can do what I damn well please.
Well, it's my tournament. It's not your tournament.
I know. That's why I said I was quoting you. I was quoting you.
It's my tournament. Diablo 3.
Upvote.
Upvote? Okay.
Yep. I would upvote it.
I have a feeling
there's
that
enough RPG mechanics in it.
there might be too many upvotes, but we'll see how this goes. Divinity Original Sin.
I haven't played that.
I vote to upvote. This is more of along the line of where you're saying like, no, it doesn't deserve it, but I think that one does deserve the comparison.
Alrighty. Well, I mean, I haven't played it, so I don't know.
Yeah, that is the fair and correct answer. At least you're saying that you haven't played it. Recommendation for Doom Eternal.
Nah.
Fun game. I'm enjoying it, but I wouldn't say it is a Mass Effect recommendation.
I have to agree.
But it is fun.
Okay.
It's a fun game.
We'll put you guys both on no's, and I'm thinking maybe I got a very liberal interpretation of this. Dragon's Dogma.
I haven't played it.
I've played a little bit of it. It's not close.
Not even close. Okay.
It's a little close, but it's not closer than Doom Eternal. Maybe that's not true because I haven't played enough of it.
Okay. Well, then let's go with that then.
Okay. Dream.
This just reminds me of, man, there are so many games.
I know, man.
Play.
This is too much. Dreamfall, which I don't know what that is.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Okay. Everspace.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Which is mine, so I'm putting up there.
That's yours?
I love Everspace.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. Hey, should I quote you quoting me? It's my tournament. There were a couple people who just said Final Fantasy with no context, and I don't know what to do with that.
Do we want to open up that can of worms?
Because they didn't say a specific game. They just said Final Fantasy, and I believe there's like 25 of them.
Yeah, and they're also all different from each other. The popular one is Final Fantasy 7 and 14.
But do you mean 7 or 7 Remake?
Why not both?
But that's my point is that it gets complicated.
I was about to say, do we want to do a Final Fantasy tournament where it's...
I could not do that. That's just too many. My expertise is not there for that. I'll put it that way.
I mean, maybe just the top 4, so it would be like Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 10.
The fact that you need a tournament to get to the finals of that tournament to get to our tournament, that's too much.
Well, no, I was just thinking the 4 main contenders.
I'm aware of that, but you're going to start with the 4 main contenders. You're going to piss people off just with your contenders, and that's why I want to avoid that entirely.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to go with a no vote because it wasn't specific enough. Another one along the same lines, Gears of War. No specific game recommended.
Again, good game, but
it's close in mechanics, but
it's a third-person cover-based shooter. If that aspect,
it's from a similar era too.
If you played Mass Effect as a soldier, I would then recommend Gears of War. But if you played it as a biotic or engineer or anything like that, it's
I'm going with a maybe. Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh hell yeah!
Just for the storytelling issues, I would put it on there just for the multiplayer.
I would say
because because you're like, dude, look what Mass Effect could do.
Yeah, I would say the multiplayer, the branching storylines, the RPG mechanics.
There's not that many branching storylines in it, though.
There may not be many, but even still,
it's just like I can only think of. They're binary choices that don't really affect anything except for the ending, which we won't spoil. Either way, don't go into that game looking for choices. It's more along the lines of exploring. Here's one I know of, but I don't get the Ghost Recon Wildlands.
I kind of have played it. But
Honestly, I would recommend that more to an Anthem fan than I would a Mass Effect.
By the way,
personally.
Anthem is in this tournament. It got through. It got through by default by being a BioWare game.
Ooh.
What? It's a BioWare game.
I mean, it is, but
If you like Mass Effect 3's combat, you might like some of Anthem's combat. That's enough for me.
I would say Andromeda's combat, to be even more specific.
but-
Like, if you loved Andromeda's combat, Anthem can be your jam.
Yeah, I specifically I kind of separate those two, but either way,
Yeah.
it's on there. So I'm gonna go with a no because I don't see the connection. But what do you guys think? But by the way, a no vote means it just makes the preliminary tournament. These are not eliminations.
Okay.
These are just being kicked down to have to earn their way back into the tournament.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the
fair.
idea. Because one of the games on here, like this is a ridiculously good game, but it is in this outlier section. God of War.
Ooh, yeah, I saw that. God of War. God.
of War.
And I am assuming that's the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine if we kick that down into the other tournament, it would make its way back in no matter what. Just because it's that popular of a game.
Yeah, and the big thing is that while there's no branching storylines within it, man, like the RPG mechanics within it and the story, like the storytelling in it is, it's pretty big. So
Okay. The next one there, I'm going to just bump up Kerbal Space Program. I haven't actually played it, but that seems like
I
a good
would
one.
downvote it actually. I
You
don't
would?
think it's like cool. It's space, but it's a simulator, and it fits such more of a different. For me, it fits a much different category than if you're wanting someone to search for like an RPG or a more story based game.
That is fair.
That is the issue with this tournament, though. There are so many different angles to go at what you like about Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So if you're focusing specifically on RPG stuff, a lot of these don't work. But a lot of them are still good recommendations for people who like Mass Effect.
Yeah, that's fair, but it's more of, especially with Kerbal, because the Kerbal Space Program is much more of, I would almost say like a science simulator in that regard.
But I love how sciencey Mass Effect is.
Oh yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like, while it's fun to dive into like the lore and especially the science of how a lot of Mass Effect works, it's very different versus I want to build my own spaceship and have it work within realistic measures.
Okay,
You know,
Tucker's already bumped.
Talking of Kerbal Space Program kind of reminds me that I did a game jam at one point that was in part with NASA. They had some people from NASA that were there helping, like, just kind of working with the groups of game developers in the game jam. And the theme of the games that we were working on were space. And so the team that I was with, we came up with the game idea that was you're a god entity and you're essentially like a celestial being and you're making planets as if they are food orders. Like someone comes in and they order a planet a certain way and the different elements on the planet are the spices. Heating it up is the core of it and all the different stuff. We had a person on our team that she worked with the Mars rover.
Oh, that's so
dope.
Cool.
Normally I would let you go on, but we're going to be squished for time to try to finish this up because I'm still about 20 deep.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, I know. There's a lot of games.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that you decided to do this because there's a lot of games that we're going through on this list.
The idea is this is hilarious.
Is it?
Well, you don't find this hilarious? This is like, whoa. I like doing these kind of things.
Yeah, this is a little,
But go ahead. Is it a little bit too much?
No, I was going to say, on to the next one, L.A. Noire. I think that needs an upvote.
Well, that was
the
on
one I recommended.
that's when Tucker already gave it the upvote when he made a recommendation. This is a list I put together beforehand.
Okay.
So
moving on.
Legacy of Kain.
Ooh.
Which I've heard a lot about, have not played. I imagine that would be a yes. It's an older game, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we also have the Old Republic games on here, too. And even older games than that, so I don't think that's going to be that much. And it hasn't aged that badly over the years.
Either way, this is not an elimination. This is just We're giving some teams. We're looking teams. This is not a sports thing. We're giving games a leg up in my final declaration with this.
Yeah, I would say included in there.
Okay. This one comes from Seeker, Pathfinder Kingmaker. Which I've heard of but don't know anything about.
Yeah, same here. Seeker, you can yell at me later about it.
Well, okay. So none of us have played it?
Yeah.
So that means we have to let other people decide.
Okay.
A Plague Tale, also known as a Plague's Tale if you translate it, I imagine.
Yeah.
That is another game I've heard a lot of, and I haven't played yet.
My understanding, if you like the emotional devastation of the Mass Effect series, but you also want to be, but you don't want the happy ending like Mass Effect, go with Plague Tale.
You're not good at selling these games. If you want to be emotionally devastated and then be even more emotionally devastated afterwards, do this.
I mean, man, with the amount of emotional trauma I hear that Dragon Age and Mass Effect fans go through, at some point, I kind of have to think,
okay,
is this actually a selling point? Do you want to get hurt?
Recore.
Haven't played it.
Yeah.
That is a game that, when they announced it, the trailer looked really promising. The idea of it was really promising, but then the gameplay kind of, it being a platformer and such with that, I just kind of fell off with it.
Space Hulk Deathwing.
Like Marvel Hulk? Or is that
no,
something
this
different?
is
'Cause I haven't heard of this game.
Yeah, no, I've heard of it.
Nothing.
The fact that it's got Hulk in it is very, it throws you a bit.
Okay.
You know that Deathwing from World of Warcraft? Like,
No, it's not that one either.
Like, I thought like this was Space Hulk fighting Deathwing
I
from World of Warcraft, and like it was Space Hulk from
like
the World Breaker one.
Yeah, Planet
Hulk.
Planet Breaker Hulk.
Yeah, Planet
Hulk.
It's like,
Okay, we'll put that one back out. StarCraft.
the RTS.
That's correct.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if I would recommend it.
Feel like that's a stretch of a recommendation.
A lot of these are stretches.
That's fair.
We are in the 80s as far as how I had this in the list. So this is like a 64 game tournament. We're way down there. We're nitpicking.
Yeah. The nice thing is with StarCraft, if it's a big enough game, like it has an amazing story to it, and it's one of the few big science fiction games out there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with yes, just because of that. The fact that it has a science fiction story and a science fiction universe. But this is way down the list. I don't expect it to do very well.
Mm-hmm.
Vampire, or I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. I think it's
Vampire.
Is it just Vampire, but it's got a Y in it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a recent RPG where you eat people and get points. It's more serious than that.
It does remind me of the Vampire Bloodlines Masquerade.
It's not
that's
that
what I was
one,
kind of thinking
whatever
of.
that's called.
Yeah, it's a different game.
I am excited for that for the sole reason that it plays in Seattle, and it is an open world game in Seattle. In the trailer, I've seen places in the trailers that's literally next door to me, like shots in the trailer.
You're gonna die.
Like, I know that plot. I know that place. I'm just gonna hang out around my apartment. Like, I'm not gonna play the game or anything like that. I'm just gonna go on my daily like walks or whatever in the game.
All right, A Way Out.
I want to play that game, but I need
I don't
a friend.
feel like that because it's mandatory co-op, right?
It is. It is mandatory
so
co-op.
I don't know how that would work for people.
Yeah.
Even split screen requires co-op, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get through these ones a little bit faster. Alpha Protocol.
That was one that I just put on there because I remember that Dan would recommend that a lot. And
Dan?
people that I've heard from BioWare follower. He was one of the first people that I hired and brought on.
Oh, I should know who that is, but I don't. I'm not a great guy.
And he recommended the game a decent amount, as well as I've just heard BioWare fans and Mass Effect fans have enjoyed that game.
All right. Well,
I don't know much about it. I know it's like a spy game, and there are a lot of choices that you make.
all right. I'll bump it up just for that then. But
Okay.
these are going to be a little bit murky. Bound by Flame. These are games that I have not heard of before. So
Haven't heard of.
if you heard it, say something. Broken Sword.
Nope.
Nope.
This one was from Tucker, I think. Dark Pictures Anthology.
Well, I mean,
You believe that's on there because you recommended it, right? Does
Yeah.
anyone even know who that is? Like, will anyone know what that is?
Nope.
I mean, it's the Man of Medan and Little Hope and things like that. But I mean, I didn't know what to call it.
All right, I will give it a tiebreaker, but it'll be in a vote somewhere. This one's weird, and I didn't even know this. BioWare worked on this game. It was a sequel to something like MDK2.
Oh, this was one of their real older games. Like,
Yeah.
This is after Shattered Steel, which we'll get to, but
Which is also
It's
yeah.
after
2000.
yeah. It's after Shattered... Well, actually, where's my... Damn it, I just did a review on this damn book. I got it right here.
There's a book on it.
Convenient.
No, the BioWare 25.
Oh, okay.
I just did a review on it. Pseudo insert for myself right here. Let's see here.
That sounds convenient.
Should I just give it a slight bump because it's a BioWare game?
I mean, we're already giving it to Shattered Steel, so yeah.
Well, I mean, we haven't gotten to Shattered Steel, but yeah, the slight bump. Natural Selection 2.
In 2010,
Tucker.
following the release of Mass Effect 2, IGN asked BioWare's Ray Muziaka, I butchered that last name, if they had any plans to make an MDK3, to which they replied, you'll have to ask Interplay.
We're almost done. We can almost do
All
it,
right.
Tucker. Natural Selection 2. You'll have to say something, otherwise I'm just going to automatically mark it.
I don't know what that game is.
Observation.
Negative.
Nope.
Negative Bueller.
Overlord 2.
Don't know what that one is.
Shattered Steel.
Oh, I
feel
know
like
that
I know
one.
that game.
I know that one.
That's a BioWare. That's BioWare's first game.
Yep.
Okay, that-
Tucker mentioned Starflight, so we'll go with
Yes.
on that. The Technomancer. That's what I thought. I don't know these games, unfortunately. There's so many games.
Well, the internet does exist.
I agree. I don't know how I'm going to seed these. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah.
Tell me why. Too Human. Two Worlds 2.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. So anyway, check my Twitter. We're going to start the preliminaries soon, and eventually we'll get to a big tournament. The feature competitions, though, will be which Dragon Age game should be in the tournament, which Fallout game should be in the tournament, which Assassin's Creed game should be in the tournament.
It's a lot.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
We got some questions that I'm going to push to next week since we've already been running for a while.
Yeah.
Some Mass Effect specific questions, but we do have an obscure Mass Effect character of the week from Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
Oh, crap.
No, you didn't remember.
Sorry, I thought you were so excited about it. I was like, no.
Well, the
maybe it's
whole point was so you could pick out one.
We've been going for an hour and a half.
The obscure Mass Effect character of the week is going to be Barla Vaughn, the Volus that you interact with that works for the Shadow Broker in the original Mass Effect game.
I've heard you work for the Shadow Broker. Do you have any information about Saren?
You're very blunt, Shepard. But you're right. I am an agent for the Shadow Broker. And I do know something about Saren.
Barla Vaughn is one of my favorite
I know that
characters.
one.
Barla Vaughn is one of my favorite characters in Mass Effect. I have no reason for liking him at all. He's not entertaining. He doesn't say anything particularly neat. He was just the first Volus I interacted with, and I
Yeah.
thought he looked hilarious.
I think the one thing that I liked about him was that he started to show, like, hey, you see this nice, shiny, like, science fiction world out there. Oh, but there's an underground to this. So, that's kind of one thing that I really liked about his interaction, because his interactions were always memorable, and it's like, he pretty much info dumps on you, and I think he maybe gives you an assignment? I'm not 100% certain.
He's related to finding Tally for the first time.
Yeah.
That's his
fair.
largest role. So it's you can't miss him, but he's just barely there.
Yeah.
He's the person with the shadow.
He also shows up in Mass Effect 3.
even though he was supposed to have died in Mass Effect 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know that.
There's a bit of trivia here. News reports cut from the final version of Mass Effect 2 reveal that Barlow Vaughn has been found dead. The report suggests his death is related to the apparent ongoing collapse of the Shadow Broker's criminal empire and a series of emergency transactions from businesses tied to the Shadow Broker.
So that didn't...
As the content was cut, it is not considered canon.
Yeah, because he's also one of the high scorers in the oh, what is it? Dang, I can't remember the name of the last DLC in Mass Effect 3.
He's also mentioned in Andromeda.
Yeah, and I really want him to show up again, and I will lose my shit when I see him.
In Andromeda?
Any other game, the next Mass Effect game somewhere, I'll just go nuts. I have no reason for liking the guy so much. I probably can't even find a quote that's entertaining, but I just love that guy.
Because he's in Mass Effect 3, so I'm trying to think of how he would be in Andromeda, and that kind of reminds me that one of the April Fool's videos I made was a DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda where the clones of the main characters were sent to Andromeda, and I think that's one of... It's not the most watched video on my channel, but it is one of the top ones, because it was an April Fool's video that got a lot of people.
You're a huge dick about that.
Sounds about right. Yep.
All right, so we're going to continue this conversation next week, but if you want to recommend an obscure Mass Effect character, you can email us at accidentallycasual@gmail.com. That's the quickest way to get to me. You can also go to the Discord or hit me up on Twitter at MiniusGC. Any of those will work. We have a slight backlog at the moment. Just one very, very important qualifier. Actually, I guess there's two. They need to be less obscure than Conrad Werner, and I need to find an audio clip of them going. Scott had another person, but I don't have the audio for the character Scott had yet. I will dig for it, but most importantly, I need it now. I'll get a bunch more audio when the remasters come out.
Yeah. Man, there's so many like book characters I could recommend. It's like audio.
Nope, that's why it's because you're just like this book obscure character. No, it's I got to be able to clue people in with a clip of somehow. Otherwise, it's just going to go completely over their head.
Yeah, I know.
That's the idea. We could get really obscure with that.
Oh yeah, we could.
I mean, I brought up a person that was extremely obscure.
Just like one mention in the codex somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too obscure. It's a good obscure character, but too obscure for our segment.
It was the Elon Musk of the BioWare or of the Mass Effect universe. Who Elon Musk just became the richest man. He just got more money than Bezos.
Oh, he just lost it. Yeah, he lost it.
Musk?
Yeah, he lost it the next day.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah.
I mean, like, for a day, you're the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
Oh no. Whatever will your problems be?
I don't know. That man's trying to get us to Mars, and that's kind of cool. He does some other stuff that's not as cool, but like him trying to get us to Mars,
wanting to
such,
nuke
like,
Mars to give it an atmosphere, which he's smarter than I am, so maybe that'll work. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he does some weird shit, but it's also like, hey, that Mars thing, like, keep doing that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Accidentally Casual is a weekly podcast, and we will come out towards the end of the week. We might start fluctuating a little bit, but the time that we release will not fluctuate. It's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, 5 at night in the UK, and 4 a.m. on the east coast of Australia the very next day. Or I guess it's the day before. How does the world work?
No idea.
I should know this. I wrote it down. It's round, right?
I think so. Maybe. I don't know.
There are people still trying to prove it. There was that dude who wanted to built his own rocket to prove that the Earth was flat.
Oh, and it was a miracle. He did.
I love that.
He did not survive.
Oh, survive?
Oh, he died? I thought it was the guy that...
No, there was another gentleman who tried, and I know he survived, but...
Okay.
Barely.
Well, there's one that, like, he spent a lot of money trying to prove that the Earth is flat, and just to prove that the Earth is round, like, did all that, and I love that.
Well, I mean, if you, like, prove it to yourself, that's something.
Well, yeah, but, you know, it shouldn't cost... you
whatever
tens of thousands of dollars.
Let the dude do what he wants to do. We're spending money on something stupid. We're having a Mass Effect gaming tournament. It's not quite as dumb as that, but like... and we're not spending tens of thousands of dollars on it. But the point is, you should be allowed to do things that are dumb to other people.
I mean, not until I get my gambling ring for this tournament up and going. But you know, that's a minor detail for another day.
Oh, you're gonna try to rig it? Shoot! You're gonna like send out. Oh, this is gonna get dangerous.
I gotta pay for my student loan somehow. Okay.
There's no way you could make money betting off this tournament.
I'm just trying to pay off my student loans the classic way.
I'm running the tournament, and I'm basically losing money because I'm spending time working on it instead of doing something useful.
Well, welcome to nerdy endeavors.
Anyway, this has been episode 22 of the Accidentally Casual Gaming Podcast.
Has it? I thought it was 21.
Last week was 21, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
Whatever, the number doesn't really matter, but what does matter is that I'm at MiniusGC on Twitter, Tucker's at Appy Tucker, Scott is at BiowareB, and we will be back next week.
Yeah, we will.
Check on the Twitter for the tournament. Woo! You are listening to Accidentally Casual, a podcast where I test my voice and don't understand why my microphone doesn't work at the right level.